Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're doing well. This is part 4 of the history of Russia. What is to be done? Not sure where this is going to go. We ended last time with Nicholas taking the throne because Alexander passed away. Nicholas is the younger brother of Alexander. Military revolt, reform, stuff's going on. Let's see what's going on. Lego.
(1825). Victory over Napoleon had confirmed Russia's status as a world power. But
yes. Most populated country in Europe at this time, all as well.
Was discontent within Russia amongst intellectuals and army officers, some of whom had formed secret societies to plot the overthrow of Russia's autocratic system.
We have a video, or even 2 videos, on our channel. I think Epic History did that one too. I'm not sure, but it's called the Decembrist Revolution. There's 2 parts. Kind of goes deeper. We're not probably going to go that deep in this topic today, but look a little bit deeper into the methodology and like reasonings between these individuals as well as others. These are like the 5 that are the famous ones that get killed, hanged. But yeah.
When Emperor Alexander was succeeded, not as expected by his brother Constantine,
That's who it
but
was.
by a younger brother Nicholas, one of these secret societies used the confusion to launch a military coup. But
Beautiful picture right here. Yeah, I think that's Peter the Great statue right there. But this is like the square. And there was a lot of unnecessary just death here just because people are taking commands and they're not too confident.
the Decembrist revolt, as it became known, was defeated by loyalist troops, and the ringleaders were hanged. Others were sent into internal exile in Siberia. This was to become a common sentence for criminals and political prisoners in Tsarist Russia.
Yeah, the people though that got sent Decembrists to Siberia wasn't that bad. It was not that bad compared to like when you think about like Gulag and everything. It was not that bad. It was more like a summer camp.
Nicholas went on to adopt an official doctrine of orthodoxy, autocracy, and nationality. The state was to rest on the pillars of church, Tsar, and the Russian national spirit, a clear rejection of the values of European liberalism. In the Caucasus, border clashes with Persia led to a war which ended in complete Russian victory. The Treaty of Turkmenchai forced Persia to cede all its territories in the region to Russia and pay a large indemnity. Russian support for Greece in its war of independence against the Ottomans led to war between Russia and the Ottoman Empire. Russian victory brought further gains in the Black Sea region. A Polish revolt, led by young army officers, was crushed by Russian troops. Alexander Pushkin, Russia's greatest poet, was shot in a duel, and 2 days later died from his wounds.
I'm sorry. Just random compared to everything else, but we'll take it.
Nicholas sent troops to help put down a Hungarian revolt against Austrian rule.
Yep, and there'll be a continuation of like the Holy Alliance of Austria, Prussia, and Russia. I think that kind of plays a part here. Hungarian Revolution. This is when Franz Joseph takes the throne in Austria. And they have like a weird relationship. Russia and Franz Joseph. It's just like it's a one-sided relationship at first.
The emperor's willingness to help suppress liberal revolts won him the nickname the gendarme, or policeman of Europe. Russia's first major railway was opened,
It's
connecting St.
huge.
Petersburg and Moscow.
That was huge.
Alexander Herzen, a leading intellectual critic of Russia's autocracy, emigrated to London, where he continued to call for reform in his homeland.
That Marx?
He'd later be described as the father of Russian socialism. The Ottoman Empire, now known as the sick man of Europe, reacted to further Russian provocations by declaring war.
Big one.
The Russian Black Sea Fleet inflicted a crushing defeat on the Turks at the Battle of Sinope. But Britain and France, alarmed at Russia's southern expansion and potential control of Constantinople, declared war on Russia. The Allies landed troops in Crimea and besieged the naval base of Sevastopol, which fell after a grueling year-long siege. In the Baltic, British and French warships blockaded the Russian capital, St. Petersburg.
Which isn't hard when you have the British Navy.
Russia was forced to sign a humiliating peace, withdraw its forces from the Black Sea, and put on hold plans for further southern expansion.
The second.
Nicholas I was succeeded by his son, Alexander II. The Crimean War had exposed Russia's weakness. The country lagged far behind its European rivals in industry, infrastructure, and military power.
I mean, yeah, because they're very agricultural serfdom still in Russia. It's not built for like the Industrial Revolution, like London, like Paris, like Berlin. So, yeah.
So Alexander, unlike his father, decided to embrace reform. The most obvious sign of Russia's backwardness was serfdom. According to the 1857 census, more than a third of Russians were serfs.
Which basically means like you're always going to work your entire life. Your parents were servants working the land. You are going to be working the land. And your children are going to be. It's a class system.
Forced to work their master's land with few rights.
It's slavery.
Restrictions on movement, and their status passed down to their children.
It's slavery.
They were slaves in all but name.
Yeah.
In 1861, Alexander II abolished serfdom in Russia.
Big win.
He was hailed as the Liberator. But in
a third of the population loves you already.
reality, most former serfs remained trapped in servitude and poverty.
Really, because there's not a system for them to get out, because there's no infrastructure to help them socially.
Alexander's reforms would continue with the creation of the zemstva, provincial assemblies with authority over local affairs, including education and social welfare.
Interesting.
In the Far East, Russia forced territorial concessions from a weakened China, leading to the founding of Vladivostok, Russia's major Pacific port. Another uprising by Poles and Lithuanians against Russian rule was once more crushed by the Russian army. In the Caucasus, Russia's long and brutal war against local tribes came to an end, with their leaders swearing oaths of loyalty to the Tsar. In Central Asia, the Russian Empire was gradually expanding southwards. Russian armies defeated the Emirate of Bukhara and the Khanate of Khiva, and by the 1880s, Russia had conquered most of what was then called Turkestan, today the countries of Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan.
Like, that's insane to think that not too long ago, all of that in dashed lines was Russia.
Imperial rivalry in Central Asia between Russia and Britain led to the Great Game, a 19th century version of the Cold War. Centered on Afghanistan, Diplomats and spies on both sides tried to win local support, extend their own influence, and limit the expansion of their rival, while avoiding direct military confrontation. Russia decided to sell Alaska to America for $7.2 million. Many Americans thought it was a waste of money. Gold and oil were only discovered there much later.
It's 4 trillion is what it's worth today. Could even be more than that if you think about it. Just strategically thinking about it, the resources that Alaska has given the United States, and the resources that we haven't even found yet, because Alaska is obviously the biggest territory in the United States, way bigger than Texas, the second biggest. There's just so much more to be received from Alaska in terms of resourcing. So, I mean, they didn't know it then, but huge win. Honestly, who knows what would have happened if they never did that. Canada might have grabbed it.
Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace was published, still regarded as one of the world's greatest works of literature. The late 19th century was a cultural golden age for Russia, a period of literary greats and outstanding composers.
Okay.
Russia, in support of nationalist revolts in the Balkans against Ottoman rule, went to war with the Ottoman Empire once more. Russian troops crossed the Danube, then, with Bulgarian help, fought to secure the vital Shipka Pass. Then they launched a bloody 5-month siege of Plevna in Bulgaria. Russia and her allies finally won victory, with their troops threatening Constantinople itself. But at the Congress of Berlin, Russia bowed to international pressure and accepted limited gains, in a settlement that also led to independence for Romania, Serbia, Montenegro, and later Bulgaria.
That's huge. That's huge. Because those obviously were under the control of the Ottoman Empire at the precipice of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. That's huge.
Meanwhile, within Russia, radical political groups were increasingly frustrated by Alexander II's limited reforms. There were several failed attempts to assassinate the emperor, but as he prepared to approve new constitutional reforms, he was killed in St. Petersburg by a bomb thrown by members of the People's Will, one of the world's first modern terrorist groups.
Dang.
This act of violence would lead only to a new era of repression.
Probably when the video ends, isn't it?
Did you know?
Yep. So, an era of progressivism concludes with an assassination. He tried. I mean, I don't know his full story, but he definitely tried tried to end serfdom, try to do what's best for the Russian people. I think you can't do it. Rome wasn't built in a day. Russia surely wasn't either. And it really comes down to, like, people are like, well, the serfdom thing he tried to do, it didn't solve anything. Well, he attempted to solve it. Same thing in the United States. The Emancipation Proclamation, made in 1865. I think that's when it was made. 64 or 65. That didn't solve anything either. But it started to solve stuff. And I think the same way of the serfdom thing. It's a move to set up the next step. You don't fix it in one step. Things have multiple steps. If things only had one step, it had already been done because it's been that easy to do it. So, relax. He did what he could. We got maybe a couple more parts left of the Russian history. I'm very excited learning all this stuff. I wish we had, maybe you guys know, I wish we had like these types of series for every single country. As I would do it. I would do it. I think we've done a decent amount on France, but I don't really know too much about I don't know too much about, and this video is gonna go a little bit long here, just me rambling, if that's okay. But I don't know too much about pre Revolution France, which kind of goes all the way back to like 800, 700, somewhere in there, AD. Pretty much every other European state. There's so much to learn. There really is. And once again, this is what we do here. We react to history, not just to react, but to use osmosis, to absorb, to apply, to learn, to contextualize everything around us. And that's the great thing about YouTube. As far as I know, these videos will be internalized, and everyone that comes across these videos will hopefully already be knowledgeable enough to have all this info, and or will grow with me, and we'll grow together. I'll see you guys next time. That's a peace out. Bye bye.